presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to the Consistency Code. Showing up can change everything.
And I'm Lisa. We're so excited to start this journey.
Before we dive in, just a quick heads up. While we're talking about health and wellness today, this isn't medical advice, so definitely consult a professional for your specific situation. Now, in this first episode, we're laying the groundwork, the power of simply showing up.
Showing up sounds simple, but why is it more powerful than intense bursts of effort?
Sporadic intensity is fleeting like lightning. Consistency is like a steady river, carving canyons over time. It's an unstoppable force.
So it's not about how hard you show up, but that you show up regularly.
Exactly. Imagine learning guitar. Practicing 12 hours one weekend leaves you exhausted. Practicing 20 minutes daily over months leads to mastery. Which is better?
The 20 minutes a day. It builds muscle memory and becomes a habit, not a chore. It's less daunting.
Precisely. This applies everywhere. Career, health, relationships. Consistent, small actions are the bedrock of progress. They build momentum. Every time you show up, you build a tiny bit of momentum.
Momentum, like a snowball rolling downhill. Small at first, but gathering speed and size.
That's a perfect analogy. That snowball is showing up for the first time, doing a small task. Each gentle push makes it bigger and faster. Sporadic intensity is like throwing rocks, a quick impact but no sustained force.
So, consistent showing up creates forward motion. But what about when you don't feel like it?
Many people wait for motivation, like waiting for a bus that may never come. True consistency is about action, not motivation. Motivation is fickle. Habits and discipline, built through showing up, are reliable. You act despite your feelings.
Consistency builds discipline, and discipline becomes the engine that drives you, even when motivation is low.
Absolutely. By consistently showing up, you build a new identity. You become someone who follows through. This builds self-belief. When you've shown up for yourself, you build trust in your capabilities. This is the foundation of everything in this series. It's about showing up to your own life, your goals, your commitments.
That's a really important point. It's not just external achievements, but the internal shift when you prove to yourself you can be relied upon. It reinforces a positive self-image.
And this isn't about perfection. Showing up means you were at the plate, you took the swing. The outcome is secondary to the act of participation. We're talking about minimum viable effort, doing something rather than nothing.
Minimum viable effort. That sounds like it removes the pressure of needing a perfect or huge job and just focuses on taking that first, small step.
Exactly. So, the power of showing up is about consistent, regular action, no matter how small. It builds momentum, fosters discipline, and creates a reliable foundation for progress and self-belief. It's about steady, unwavering presence.
It's the quiet, persistent work that moves the needle over time. So, we've established the importance of showing up. What's next?
Showing up is great, but what happens when you miss a day? That's where the next principle comes in. It's about handling slip-ups. We call it the never miss twice principle.
Ooh, that sounds powerful. It implies that perfection isn't the goal, but recovery and resilience are key.
It is. We'll dive deep into that in our next episode. For now, focus on the power of showing up. Whatever you want to achieve, start by showing up for it today and then again tomorrow, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Right. Just show up. We've laid the foundation, and in our next episode, we'll build the first crucial layer with the never miss twice principle.
Thanks for joining us for this foundational episode of the Consistency Code. Next episode, the power of the never miss twice principle. Welcome back to the Consistency Code. Last time, we discussed the absolute necessity of just showing up.
Showing up is the first and most fundamental step. But what happens if we miss a day? That's where today's topic comes in.
Exactly, Lisa. Today, we're exploring a powerful safety net for your consistency, the never miss twice principle. It's simple and incredibly effective.
The never miss twice principle. What does it mean?
It means if you miss one day or one workout, you absolutely commit to not missing the next one. One slip is an anomaly. Two slips in a row start to build a pattern.
So, it's about preventing a single missed opportunity from derailing everything. It's damage control.
Precisely. Imagine walking on a narrow path and stumbling. You regain your footing. That's okay. But if you keep stumbling and fall off, it's much harder to get back. The never miss twice principle helps you regain your footing immediately.
That's a great analogy. It highlights the psychology. When we miss a day, guilt can make us feel like a failure, leading us to give up entirely.
That guilt often triggers a voice saying, I've already messed up, so what's the point? This is self-sabotage, rationalizing the next missed opportunity.
And that voice is so convincing. I'll start again tomorrow, we say, but tomorrow often repeats the story.
The never miss twice principle cuts that narrative short. Missing can happen. Life throws curveballs. You get sick, have an emergency, or exhausted. These are valid reasons for a single miss.
So, it's about grace for one miss, but not permission for a second.
Exactly. It's self-compassion with firm boundaries. You acknowledge the slip without judgment and pivot back to your commitment. This prevents a single miss from becoming a habit and protects your momentum.
Momentum is key in consistency. When we break the chain, momentum is lost, and it feels like starting from scratch.
And starting from scratch is daunting. The never miss twice principle helps you avoid that restart. It preserves your progress and actively builds resilience.
Resilience. So, by focusing on not missing twice, we strengthen our ability to bounce back from any setback.
Precisely. Every time you apply this principle, you reinforce your belief that you can overcome obstacles. You prove to yourself you are in control, building a mental muscle.
It's like building a thicker skin against life's bumps. This is especially important when establishing new habits, right?
Absolutely. New habits are fragile and require conscious effort. The never miss twice principle is your most valuable ally.
Let's recap for our listeners. The never miss twice principle acknowledges that missing one action or commitment can happen. Life is imperfect, but you must ensure that the next opportunity to act, you take it. This prevents a single slip from becoming a pattern, maintains momentum, and builds resilience.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's a proactive approach to a common challenge, ensuring persistence, not perfection.
It truly complements the idea of just showing up. Showing up is the foundation, and the never miss twice principle ensures that foundation doesn't crumble after the first tremor.
Indeed. And this principle sets us up perfectly for our next episode, where we'll discuss minimum viable effort. It's about finding the smallest, most manageable action to keep momentum going, making the never miss twice principle even easier to apply.
I'm really looking forward to that. It sounds like a practical strategy for making consistency feel less overwhelming.
It absolutely is. So, remember, one miss is human. Two misses start to become a habit. Employ the never miss twice principle, protect your progress, and build unbreakable resilience. Next episode, minimum viable effort. Small steps, big wins. Welcome back. Last time, we explored the powerful never miss twice principle. Today, we're diving into a concept that makes consistency achievable. Minimum viable effort, or MVE.
Minimum viable effort. That sounds like a game changer for people feeling overwhelmed. So, Alex, what exactly is minimum viable effort?
It's the absolute smallest action you can take that still moves you forward. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing something that counts, even if it's tiny. It's the smallest step with real impact, the smallest effort that still counts as progress.
So, it's like the just enough action, the bare minimum that still counts as forward momentum?
Exactly. Imagine you want to exercise, but you're exhausted. Your normal workout is 45 minutes. That might feel impossible. Your minimum viable effort could be 10 push-ups or a 10-minute walk around the block. It's not the full workout, but it's activity. It keeps the habit alive.
And I can see how that connects to our never miss twice principle. If you aim for a huge workout and miss it, you might skip it the next day too. But if your MVE is just 10 push-ups, it's much easier to accomplish. And even if you miss that one day, it's a smaller miss to recover from.
Precisely. MVE is your secret weapon against perfectionism. Perfectionism says, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all, which paralyzes us. MVE says, if I can do this tiny thing, it still counts. It's about acceptance and forward motion, not an all-or-nothing approach.
That's a great way to put it. So, how do you actually find your minimum viable effort for something?
It starts with identifying your goal and then asking, what is the smallest possible action that would still contribute to this goal? For example, if your goal is to read more, what's the smallest number of pages you could commit to? Maybe it's just one page. Or if you want to write a book, what's the smallest word count you could aim for daily? Perhaps 50 words.
50 words? That feels incredibly achievable, even on a bad day.
It is. And here's the magic. Often, once you start with that tiny act, you find you can do more. Those 10 push-ups might turn into 20. That one page might lead to reading a chapter. But the MVE is your guaranteed win, your anchor. It prevents the dreaded zero day.
It sounds like MVE is designed to build momentum, not to be the ultimate achievement on its own.
Absolutely. MVE is the seed. You plant the smallest possible seed, and then you nurture it. It's the foundation. Building on that foundation, we can then think about growing it. But the critical first step is establishing that tiny, consistent action. It's about making progress, however small, rather than aiming for an unattainable ideal and achieving nothing.
And this is so important because we all have days where motivation is low, energy is drained, or time is incredibly scarce. On those days, a full effort feels impossible, but an MVE feels manageable.
It's the ultimate permission slip to keep going. It's the difference between stopping entirely and making a sliver of progress. That sliver, repeated consistently, is what leads to massive change over time. Think about erosion. A single drop of water doesn't carve a canyon, but billions of drops over millennia will. Each drop is a tiny effort, an MVE of sorts.
I love that analogy. It really drives home how significant small, consistent efforts can be. So, we're aiming for the smallest step that still yields a win. And we're using this to combat perfectionism and ensure we never have a zero day.
Exactly. And it's crucial to remember that your MVE might change. What's viable today might be different tomorrow. The key is to constantly assess what the minimum effective action is for you right now to keep moving forward.
So, it's not a fixed rule, but a dynamic approach. We're always looking for that smallest actionable step.
Precisely. And when you combine minimum viable effort with a never miss twice principle, you create a powerful safety net. If you miss your MVE, which is already very small, you know you only have to get back to it the very next day. It's much less daunting than missing a much larger goal.
That makes so much sense. It's about making consistency accessible even on the hardest days and not letting setbacks derail you because your initial effort was so small and manageable.
Right? And this leads us into our next topic. Once you've established this habit of showing up through minimum viable effort, the next logical step is to solidify that presence. That's what we'll explore in our next episode, crafting your consistent identity. We'll look at how these small, consistent actions start to shape who you are in the eyes of yourself and others.
So, to recap our discussion on minimum viable effort, it's the smallest actionable step that still moves you forward towards your goal. It's a powerful tool to combat perfectionism, ensure you never have a zero day, and make consistency manageable even on low motivation or busy days. By focusing on these tiny, achievable actions, we build momentum and lay the groundwork for bigger progress.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Remember, small steps taken consistently can lead to monumental results.
Indeed.
Next episode, crafting your consistent identity. Welcome back to the Consistency Code, where we explore how showing up changes everything.
Today, we're diving into something even deeper: how showing up consistently fundamentally crafts your identity. We're talking about episode 4, crafting your consistent identity.
It's a powerful idea. We often think of identity as something fixed, something we're born with, or that just happens to us. But our actions, our habits, actually build who we become.
So, if I consistently choose to wake up early after a while, I'm not just someone who tries to wake up early. I become, in my own mind and in the eyes of others, an early riser.
Precisely. It shifts from an action you perform to a trait you embody. This is the core of crafting your consistent identity. You're not just showing up for a task. You're showing up as the person who performs that task. And that person, that identity, then influences your future actions. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle.
It's like the story we're building about ourselves. Every time we act in a way that aligns with a desired trait, we're adding a word to that story, making it more believable and more true for us.
You've hit on a key point, Lisa. It's about the narrative we tell ourselves. If you consistently act with kindness, you start to identify as a kind person. If you consistently tackle challenging projects, you begin to see yourself as capable and resilient. Each consistent action is a brushstroke on the canvas of your self-perception.
And this connects back beautifully to our previous episodes. Minimum viable effort means we can start small. We don't need to make a grand, identity-shattering leap. We can choose a small action like meditating for just 2 minutes. And by doing it consistently, we're telling ourselves, I am the kind of person who meditates.
Absolutely. And remember the never miss twice principle? If you miss one session, it's a blip. But if you miss it and then decide, okay, I'm back on track, you're reinforcing that identity. The consistency, even around setbacks, is what solidifies the identity.
So, it's not about perfection, but about the direction of our efforts. A consistent direction, even with occasional stumbles, builds a much stronger identity than sporadic bursts of effort followed by long periods of inaction.
Precisely. It's about intentionality. You can passively let your identity be shaped by chance and circumstance, or you can actively design it. This is where the power lies. What kind of person do you want to be? What traits do you want to embody?
That's a great question to pose to our listeners. If you want to be a more disciplined person, what consistent, small actions can you take to start building that identity?
Excellent. Let's brainstorm. If you want to be seen as reliable, what's a small, consistent action you could take? Maybe always being on time for virtual meetings or delivering a small task by its deadline without fail. That consistent demonstration of reliability starts to embed that trait in your identity.
And if you want to be viewed as creative, perhaps it's dedicating 15 minutes each day to brainstorming, or writing a short poem every morning, or sketching something in your notebook. These aren't about producing a masterpiece. They're about the act of showing up as a creative person.
Exactly. The output is less important than the internal shift. You're not just creating a poem, you're becoming a poet. You're not just brainstorming, you're becoming a brainstormer. It's a subtle but profound difference. This identity shift makes you more likely to seek out and succeed at future creative endeavors.
It feels like a form of self-fulfilling prophecy, but in a positive, constructive way. By acting the part consistently, you become the part.
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. You're acting as if you already are that person, and through consistent action, you make it so. This is how we move beyond simply doing things to being people who do them. When you identify as someone who is consistent, resourceful, or dedicated, you naturally lean into behaviors that support that identity.
So, to recap for our listeners, our consistent actions, no matter how small, act like building blocks for our identity. Initially, it's an action, then it becomes a habit, and eventually, it becomes a fundamental part of who we are. This is the feedback loop. Our actions shape our identity, and our identity guides our future actions. We can intentionally choose the actions that build the identity we desire.
And by applying minimum viable effort and the never miss twice principle, we make this process manageable and effective. We're not trying to overhaul our entire personality overnight. We're making small, consistent deposits into the bank of our desired identity.
This is really powerful. It gives us agency over something we might have previously thought was out of our control. We can actually design ourselves.
Absolutely. And as we design ourselves through consistent action, that identity begins to permeate all areas of our lives. Which brings us perfectly to our next episode, where we'll explore how this consistent identity plays out specifically in your professional life.
Fantastic. We've covered the foundation of showing up, the power of not missing twice, the brilliance of minimum viable effort, and now, how all of that shapes who we are. We will explore consistency in your professional life. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the Consistency Code. We discussed crafting your consistent identity.
Today, we're applying that to our professional lives. It can feel challenging with so many demands.
The never miss twice principle is crucial here. If you slip up, like missing a deadline, ensure it doesn't happen again. It prevents small issues from becoming habits.
So, it's about correction and avoiding repetition, not perfection. How does minimum viable effort apply to work?
MVE combats professional burnout. Break large projects into small, actionable steps. Your MVE might be a brief research task or organizing files. The goal is consistent small actions, not sporadic big efforts.
That leads to steady progress. For a report, your MVE could be 15 minutes daily on data gathering or outlining. These small efforts compound over time.
MVE is also key for skill development. Want to learn new software? Your MVE could be 10 minutes of practice daily. You chip away at learning rather than waiting for rare free time.
This consistency builds a reputation for reliability. Colleagues and supervisors see you as dependable.
Consistent professional delivery is vital for career growth. It shifts you from potentially reliable to reliably so. For project management, this means proactive updates and anticipating problems. A quick daily team huddle or weekly report can establish this.
So, for projects, MVE might be a 5-minute morning check-in or a brief end-of-day status update to create a rhythm.
Precisely. And for client relationships, consistency means regular communication, responsiveness, and fulfilling promises. This builds client security and value. Think regular newsletters, monthly calls, or prompt email replies.
That builds a dependable feedback loop and reinforces professionalism.
Now, let's tackle professional inertia. Staring at a task list and feeling overwhelmed is common. Consistency helps break this. Committing to an MVE forces that first small step. Starting makes continuing easier.
The hardest part is often just beginning. If your MVE is open the document, that can be enough to get going. Like pushing a heavy object, once it moves, it's easier to keep it rolling.
That's a perfect analogy. Building professional consistency also builds resilience. When setbacks occur, your consistent habits act as anchors. Your MVE, regular check-ins, and never miss twice commitment keep you on track.
So, a setback becomes a temporary pause, not a complete derailment, because your core habits remain?
Exactly. You maintain momentum and resume consistent efforts. Professionals build careers through sustained, consistent effort, not just big, heroic acts. It's about showing up and doing the work daily.
It makes sense. In high stakes fields like medicine, inconsistency can be dangerous. Rigorous training enforces strict consistency.
Indeed, while our jobs may not be as extreme, the principles are the same. We create systems governing our performance. The consistency code helps build positive, effective systems. We've covered showing up, never miss twice, MVE, and consistent identity, and applied them to professional life.
Consistency impacts careers by building trust, reliability, and reputation. We also hinted at personal connections, which we'll discuss later.
For now, identify your professional MVE today. Commit to it and trust the process.
That's a great takeaway, Alex. Consistency profoundly impacts our careers.
Next episode, we'll focus on nurturing important personal relationships through consistency. Welcome back. Last time, we talked about consistency at work. Today, let's focus on relationships.
That's right, Alex. It's vital to nurture our connections with people we care about. How can we be consistent in our relationships?
Relationships need regular care, like a garden. Consistency means showing up for people, both in person and emotionally.
So it's about being present and engaged, not just physically there.
Exactly. Active listening is a consistent practice. Are you truly hearing what others say? Putting away distractions, making eye contact, and responding thoughtfully builds trust. This small, repeated effort makes people feel valued and understood.
I feel more connected when people listen to me. Life gets busy, though. How do we manage consistent effort with packed schedules?
Designated time is key. Carve out intentional moments. This could be a weekly date, a regular call, or just 20 minutes each evening to talk with your children without distractions. Make a commitment to this time and protect it.
So, we actively create these moments instead of waiting for them.
Precisely. And show up fully for that time. If you promise quality time, be present. This consistent dedication tells loved ones they are a priority.
This sounds like our never miss twice principle. If we miss dedicated time, we need to correct it quickly.
Absolutely. The never miss twice principle is powerful in relationships. Forgetting a call or canceling plans isn't the end of the world, but immediately course correct. Make that call the next day or reschedule with genuine effort. Don't let a missed connection become a forgotten one. Consistently making up for it shows you value the relationship.
That's reassuring. It focuses on commitment to repair, not perfection. What other ways does consistency show up in relationships?
It's in the small, everyday gestures. Consistently offering encouragement. Consistently showing appreciation. Consistently being reliable. If you say you'll be there, be there. These small, consistent actions build trust and goodwill.
It's a slow, steady build, adding strength with each consistent act.
That's a great way to put it. And consider the opposite, lack of consistency. When someone is unreliable or fails to listen, relationships fray. Trust erodes, and people feel distant. Intentionally cultivating consistency is essential for thriving relationships.
So, to nurture relationships consistently, we should be fully present, schedule dedicated time, use never miss twice to correct slip ups, and offer consistent gestures of encouragement, appreciation, and reliability.
Precisely. It's about being a consistent source of support, understanding, and affection for those who matter most. This consistent effort can deepen bonds.
Next episode, we'll explore consistency in parenting. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the Consistency Code, Episode 7. Today, we discuss the parent's consistent touch.
We've explored consistency in personal lives, careers, and relationships. But parenting feels like a whole different challenge. The stakes are undeniably high.
Absolutely. For parents, consistency isn't just a good habit. It's a bedrock for a child's security, trust, and overall development. A reliably present, responsive parent creates a vital safe harbor.
A safe harbor. How does this consistent touch translate into tangible benefits for a child?
Consistent parenting builds strong emotional security. When a child knows what to expect, needs met, caregiver present, routines followed, they feel safe and grounded. This predictability naturally reduces anxiety.
So, if a child knows dinner is usually around 6 and bedtime around 8, that very predictability is calming. They don't have to worry about when the next meal might arrive.
Precisely. Beyond security, this consistent presence aids cognitive development. When a child feels secure, their brain is free to explore, learn, and grow. They can focus on play and interaction rather than on instability.
It's like foundational needs for early development. You need safety and belonging before higher level growth can occur.
Exactly. And this builds trust. A child learns to trust parents, and by extension, the world, when their caregiver is consistently dependable. This trust is key for healthy relationships throughout life.
So, if a parent promises to attend a school play and shows up, that builds trust. Or, if a child scrapes a knee, they know they can count on a comforting hug.
Indeed, it's not always grand gestures. Consistency in small, everyday interactions, morning routines, bedtime stories, shared meals, builds that solid foundation of trust and security. It's about being reliably there.
But Alex, parents juggle so much. Work, chores, personal needs, some days are just about survival. How can a busy, exhausted parent implement these principles without becoming overwhelmed?
This is where minimum viable effort, or MVE, and the never miss twice rule are crucial. For parents, MVE means identifying the smallest, most manageable, consistent actions that still make a significant positive impact.
So, it's not about being the perfect, ever present parent. It's about finding those core, achievable actions that matter.
Exactly. For example, if a full, elaborate bedtime routine is too much, perhaps the MVE is just reading one short book and ensuring a consistent goodnight hug. That still carries immense power. It's about focusing on the essence of connection and security, rather than an idealized, exhausting version of parenting.
And the never miss twice rule? How does that apply when inevitably a bedtime story or planned activity is missed?
Life happens, and parenting is rarely a straight line. The never miss twice rule acknowledges that an off day is okay. You might miss a bedtime story one night. The key isn't perfection, it's recovery. If you miss it, make extra sure you do it the next night. If you lose your temper, apologize sincerely and commit to managing your own stress better.
It's about acknowledging the miss, learning from it, and immediately course correcting. This prevents a single misstep from becoming a complete derailment.
Precisely. This consistent, yet forgiving, approach models valuable life lessons. Children learn that mistakes are part of life, but resilience and a commitment to try again are even more important. They learn that even when things go wrong, there's an underlying structure of care and intention.
So, we're talking about consistent presence, consistent responsiveness, and consistent routines where possible. but also, importantly, consistent effort to reconnect and repair after inevitable missteps.
You've nailed it. And this consistent touch doesn't just benefit the child, it benefits parents too. Carving out those consistent moments of connection, even small ones, can be incredibly grounding and rewarding. It reminds us why we're doing this, and it nourishes our own well-being, making us better parents.
It closes a positive loop. When we show up consistently, even imperfectly, it builds security in our children. This often leads to more cooperative interactions, making our parenting journey feel more sustainable.
Think of it like building a strong, flexible fence around your child's world. It provides boundaries and safety, but it also allows them the freedom to explore and play within those secure parameters.
That imagery truly helps. A fence that protects, but doesn't stifle.
Indeed, the consistency required for parenting often involves setting clear expectations and boundaries, but doing so with warmth and love. When children consistently understand the rules and the reasons behind them, and see those rules upheld by caring adults, they develop self-control and respect.
So, to recap, consistency in parenting provides emotional security, fosters trust, aids cognitive development, and teaches resilience. For busy parents, leverage minimum viable effort for achievable actions, and remember the never miss twice rule to recover from daily challenges. It's about imperfect consistency, fueled by love and commitment.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. And this idea of showing up, of building that reliable presence, can be strengthened over time. In our next episode, we'll explore how to actively build your own consistency muscle, making these principles second nature.
I'm looking forward to that. Next episode, building your consistency muscle.
Welcome back to the Consistency Code. Today, we're exploring the consistency muscle.
The consistency muscle. That's a great way to think about it, Alex. We've been talking about showing up and building habits. How do we build this consistency muscle?
Think of it like any physical muscle. You challenge it, and it grows. Each time you follow through on a commitment, you're doing a rep for your consistency muscle.
And minimum viable effort, or MV, was our initial workout, right? Just enough to get the muscle moving. Like reading one page.
Exactly. MVE is your resistance training. For consistency, it's the small, manageable action that starts you off. One page of reading is a rep, it's movement.
So if MVE is the starting rep, how do we get stronger? How do we progressively overload this muscle?
Just like in physical training, you gradually increase the demand. In consistency, you increase the size or duration of your actions.
So if my MVE was reading one page, progressive overload means increasing that to 2 pages, then 3. It's about incremental growth.
Precisely. You're adding a little more weight. Maybe you read one page and take a note. Or if it's exercise, your MVE might be a 5-minute walk. Progressive overload could be making it 10 minutes or adding stretches.
And this progressive overload builds endurance and strength, pushing past our comfort zone without causing burnout.
You've hit on a key point: avoiding burnout. Burning out is like tearing a muscle. The increase needs to be gradual. We're building resilience.
This is where Never Miss Twice is our recovery tool. It prevents a missed session from becoming a complete detraining.
Exactly. If you miss a day, instead of skipping the next, do your MVE. A 10-minute walk, for example. You still showing up? Move that muscle and prevent a detraining.
So, the muscle gets stronger through training, adaptation, and recovery. The more we do these challenges and quick recoveries, the more capable our consistency muscle becomes.
That's the core of it. And over time, this leads to adaptation. When you consistently challenge your consistency muscle, it adapts. It becomes easier to do those behaviors. That one page of reading feels natural.
So, the effort becomes less demanding as the muscle gets stronger. Consistency isn't constant struggle, it's intelligent training for more effortless execution.
Precisely. And this adaptation primes us for compound rewards. But first, what are the two main principles we've discussed for building the consistency muscle?
Progressive overload to gradually increase the demand, and excellent recovery through the never miss twice principle. And MVE is our starting point.
You've got it. Progressive overload makes your workouts a little harder to force growth. And never miss twice is your built-in mechanism to prevent lapses. It means no detraining.
It's like building tolerance. As you get fitter, mild exertion feels easier. Your consistency muscle works the same way. Difficult actions become habitual.
And this is critical. If you try to jump into writing for an hour daily without building up your writing muscle first, you'll feel overwhelmed.
So, for someone wanting to build their consistency muscle now, what's the first step?
Identify one area. Define your MVE. Make it ridiculously small. Once you've done that MVE consistently, ask, can I add just a little bit more? One more sentence, one more minute. Gradual increase.
And have that never miss twice safety net ready. If you miss a rep, get right back to your MVE next time.
Absolutely. This is about persistence and intelligent training. By progressively overloading your consistency muscle and using never miss twice to prevent setbacks, you build better habits and a more capable, resilient you.
It really feels like building a skill. The more you practice, the stronger and more automatic it becomes. I'm eager to hear how this stronger muscle leads to bigger rewards.
You'll be excited to learn about that next. We'll explore how consistent effort, built through our consistency muscle training, begins to yield compounding rewards.
Ooh, compound rewards. That sounds like the payoff. Thank you, Alex. We've learned that building consistency is like developing a muscle, using progressive overload and never miss twice for recovery and adaptation.
And that's a fantastic summary. This focus on deliberately training your consistency muscle is key to long-term change. Next episode, the compound rewards of daily dedication. Welcome back to the Consistency Code, Episode 9, where we explore the accelerating power of your daily efforts.
Last time, Alex, we talked about building that consistency muscle, making showing up a natural habit. Now we're diving into why all that sustained effort truly pays off in a big way.
Exactly, Lisa. Today, we're talking about compound rewards. It's a concept that, when you truly grasp it, is incredibly motivating. Think about it like interest in a savings account. When you deposit money, you earn interest. Then, the next month, you earn interest not just on your original deposit, but on the interest you've already earned. Your money starts growing faster and faster.
Ah, the magic of compounding. So our consistent actions act like those initial deposits and the interest snowballing over time.
Precisely. And the beautiful part is this applies to everything we've discussed. Remember the never miss twice principle? That's your safeguard against breaking the compounding chain. If you miss a day, you get right back on track the next. That's crucial for the compounding effect.
Right. Because if you miss a day, then another, and another, that compounding growth grinds to a halt, or worse, even reverses.
Indeed. Now, let's connect this to minimum viable effort, or MVE. You might think, if I'm only doing the smallest possible thing each day, how can that possibly compound into significant results? But that's the very genius of it. MVE lowers the barrier to entry. It makes it easy to show up every single day.
So, by consistently applying that tiny bit of effort, that MV, you're making regular deposits into your effort bank account. You're not waiting until you have a huge amount of time or energy.
Exactly. And because you can maintain MVE consistently, you're always earning that interest. It's like planting a tiny seed every single day. Individually, one seed is small, but if you plant a seed every day, in a week you have 7 tiny sprouts. In a month, 30. In a year, 365. And eventually, you have a thriving garden. Those daily sprouts are the compound rewards.
That's a great analogy, Alex. A garden doesn't become a forest overnight. It's the persistent, daily act of tending to it that leads to explosive growth.
And it's not just about the amount of effort, but the consistency of it that builds your consistent identity. When you show up, even with MVE, you reinforce the identity of someone who does X. You're not just trying to learn guitar. You are a guitar player who practices daily. That identity then fuels further consistent action.
So, the act of being consistent over time actually changes who you believe you are, which then makes further consistency easier. It's a beautiful feedback loop.
It's incredibly powerful. Think about your professional life. Showing up consistently, even with small, impactful tasks, replying to emails promptly, preparing for meetings, dedicating a small chunk of time to learning a new skill. Those small acts compound. Over time, they lead to promotions, increased responsibility, and a reputation for reliability. You're not just doing a job, you're building a career piece by piece, day by day.
And in our personal lives, nurturing relationships. Those small, consistent gestures, a thoughtful text, a quick check-in call, being present when you're with loved ones, they don't go unnoticed. They build trust and deepen connections in a way that grand, infrequent gestures rarely can. It's the consistent warmth that makes a relationship thrive.
Absolutely. The compound rewards aren't always obvious in the short term. That's why people often give up. They do the MVE, they stick to the never miss twice rule, they work on their identity, and after a week or two, they don't see a dramatic transformation. They think it's not working.
But they're missing the forest for the trees. They're not seeing the compounding. Remember our discussion on building the consistency muscle in episode 8? That muscle becomes stronger with every consistent action, making it easier to continue that compounding growth.
Exactly. And this compounding effect is the ultimate payoff for all your dedication. It's the reason why showing up matters, why a consistent identity is so important, and why MVE is your best friend. You're quite literally building something significant out of small, persistent efforts.
So, to recap this point, compound rewards are the exponentially increasing benefits you receive from consistent, small efforts over time. They're driven by principles like the never miss twice rule, the ease of minimum viable effort, and the reinforcement of a consistent identity. These daily actions, like interest on a savings account or seeds in a garden, grow and multiply, leading to significant long-term achievements in all areas of your life.
Well said, Lisa. It's about understanding that today's small brick is tomorrow's skyscraper. The key is to keep laying those bricks consistently. Every act of showing up, no matter how small, is a deposit in your future.
It's truly the long game paying off.
And that's precisely what we'll be discussing in our next episode, navigating those inevitable bumps in the road. Because the compounding rewards make overcoming obstacles even more crucial. Next episode, navigating obstacles and setbacks. Welcome back to the Consistency Code. We're continuing our journey and exploring common hurdles.
And Alex, those hurdles can feel so discouraging, can't they? They often make us question if we can keep going at all.
They certainly can. Think of your consistency journey like a road trip. Sometimes there's traffic, sometimes there's a flat tire. But the key is having the tools to get back on the road. Our never miss twice principle is exactly that tool.
Right, so one missed day is an anomaly, but two starts to normalize stopping. It's our emergency brake and our restart button.
Exactly. A common obstacle is that initial surge of motivation fading. What do we do when the feel like it disappears?
That's typically when we stop. We let our emotions dictate whether we engage with our goals.
Precisely. This is where we must rely on discipline, our commitment to our why. Consistency isn't about feeling inspired. It's about doing what you committed to, even when the feeling isn't there. It's about showing up because you know the long-term impact.
So, instead of waiting for the spark, we act through sheer resolve. But what if the energy level is just too low to even manage that?
That's where your minimum viable effort, or MVE, comes in. Remember our discussion on small steps? If your goal is to write 1,000 words, but you're in a slump, your MVE might be just 100 words or even just opening the document. The point is to maintain the connection and prove your commitment through action, no matter how small.
That's a much less daunting task. It keeps you in the game and reinforces the habit loop, even with a tiny thread.
Absolutely. A 5-minute workout when you plan 30 is still 5 minutes of building the consistency muscle, far better than nothing. So for motivation dips, discipline your why and a dialed in MV.
Motivation slumps, check. What's another frequent hurdle?
Distractions. Our modern world is brilliant at throwing them our way. Notifications, emails, endless demands on our attention.
Yes. They just seem to appear, pulling us away from our focused work or practice. It can feel impossible to find uninterrupted time.
It feels that way, but we can manage them. For digital distractions, implement focused work blocks. Silence notifications, close and used applications, and consider tools that block distracting websites. Create digital boundaries. For personal interruptions, communicate your needs. Let family know when you require focus time, and set clear expectations about availability.
So, it's about proactively setting up structures and managing expectations with others and ourselves.
Precisely. And sometimes we just have to accept that distractions will happen. When that happens, that's our cue for never miss twice. Acknowledge the interruption, handle it, and then immediately return to your task. Don't let it derail you completely.
It really is about building resilience, isn't it? We can't prevent every distraction, but we can get back on track very quickly.
Resilience is crucial, and that leads us to the biggest obstacles: unexpected life events. Illness, emergencies, major changes, these can completely derail our established routines.
This is where consistency can feel truly out of reach. When life is in crisis mode, our focus rightly shifts.
And in those times, it's absolutely okay to adjust your consistency level. Your MV might become as simple as a quick check-in or even just a mental acknowledgement of your habit. The activity might change, but the commitment to your goal remains. If you are training for endurance, an injury might mean your MVE shifts to physical therapy, maintaining a connection to your health goal.
So, even during immense challenges, we can find a modified way to stay connected to our aspirations.
Yes, think about the parent's consistent touch. It's about showing up as best you can in whatever form that takes. When life is chaotic, be kind to yourself. Focus on what you can control, even if it's a tiny part of your goal. As life stabilizes, you can then return to your standard routine, guided by never miss twice.
So, to summarize the obstacles and our strategies. When motivation dips, we lean on discipline, remember our why, and use MVE to maintain our habit. For distractions, we set boundaries and immediately return to our tasks using never miss twice. And with unexpected life events, we adjust our MVE, focus on controllable elements, and practice self-compassion, aiming to return to our routines when possible.
A perfect wrap-up, Lisa. Our goal isn't to avoid obstacles, but to build the resilience and the strategies to navigate them. These setbacks are not failures. They are opportunities to learn, adapt, and strengthen our resolve. And this ability to reflect and adjust leads us perfectly into our next discussion.
I'm excited to explore that, Alex. Navigating obstacles seems to be all about preparation and flexibility.
Absolutely. So, until next time, keep showing up, keep adapting, and keep building your consistent future.
Next episode, the art of review and refinement.
Welcome back. Last time, we delved into navigating obstacles and setbacks. Now it's time to focus on episode 11, the art of review and refinement.
This feels like the crucial pit stop, doesn't it? We've built up our consistency muscle. We're showing up, but how do we ensure we're steering correctly?
Exactly, Lisa. Consistency isn't about blindly following a path. It's about intelligently adapting and improving. And that's where review and refinement come in. Think of it like a gardener tending to their plants. They don't just plant the seeds and walk away. They water, they weed, they prune, and they adjust based on how the plants are growing.
That's a great analogy. So, regular review is about checking the health of our consistency garden. What does that look like in practical terms for our listeners?
It means setting aside dedicated time to honestly assess your efforts. This isn't about judgment, it's about observation. How often have you shown up for that habit you're building? Have you missed more than twice, breaking the never miss twice principle we discussed? Are the small steps you're taking truly leading you towards your larger goals?
So, it's about looking at the data, even if that data is just your own adherence to a plan. Are there specific questions we should be asking ourselves during these review periods?
Absolutely. I like to break it down. First, ask, what's working? What small actions are consistently yielding positive results? This reinforces what you're doing well and gives you confidence. Then, the equally important question, what's not working? Where are you consistently falling short? Is the habit too demanding? Is the timing off? Is the goal itself not as motivating as you thought?
And that leads us to refinement, right? Identifying the not working parts and then adjusting. It's not about giving up on consistency, but about modifying the approach.
Precisely. Refinement is the act of making those changes. If you've noticed you're consistently missing your morning workout because you're rushing to get kids ready, refinement might mean shifting that workout to the evening or even just doing a shorter 5-minute session first thing. It's about finding what's sustainable and effective for you.
This ties back beautifully to our earlier discussions about minimum viable effort. Sometimes what we start with isn't quite right, and refinement helps us find that sweet spot. It's about being flexible, not rigid.
You hit the nail on the head, Lisa. Flexibility is key, and that comes from a willingness to review and adapt. We often think of consistency as sticking to a plan, come what may. But true, sustainable consistency is more like steering a ship. You have a destination, but you constantly make small adjustments to the rudder based on the waves, the wind, and the currents. That's refinement.
And this process, the review and refinement, it strengthens that consistency muscle we talked about. It teaches us that setbacks aren't failures, but data points.
Exactly. Each review cycle, each refinement you make is like an exercise for your consistency muscle. You're learning to be more observant of your own habits, more strategic in your planning, and more resilient when things don't go perfectly. Remember when we discussed building your consistency muscle? This is where you actively train it.
It's like that feedback loop we mentioned for any skill. You practice, you get feedback, you adjust, you practice again. It's a continuous loop of improvement.
So, how often should people be reviewing? Is it daily, weekly, monthly?
That, I think, depends on the habit and the individual's goals. For a very new habit, a daily or every other day quick check-in might be beneficial. Did I do it today? How did it feel? For established habits, a weekly or biweekly review might be sufficient. Think about your most important goals. Schedule a dedicated time, perhaps at the end of each week, to sit down with a notebook or a simple document and ask yourself those key questions.
I agree. Scheduling it is crucial. If you don't put on the calendar, it's easy to let it slide, especially when things feel busy or we're tempted to just keep pushing forward without pause. And when you're reviewing, be honest. Don't downplay missed days or overstate successes. The goal is accurate understanding.
And don't be afraid to make significant changes if needed. If a habit feels like a constant uphill battle, maybe the habit itself needs to be reevaluated or broken down into even smaller, more manageable parts. Refinement isn't just tweaking, it can be a complete overhaul of a particular strategy.
Absolutely. Think about your professional life, for instance. If you've committed to networking more and you find yourself dreading every event and feeling awkward, refinement might mean exploring online networking or focusing on one-on-one informational interviews instead of large gatherings. It's about finding the method of consistency, not just the act of consistency.
And this applies to relationships too. If you're trying to consistently connect with a loved one and your current method of a quick text isn't fostering deep connection, refinement might mean scheduling a regular weekly phone call or a monthly in-person meetup. It's about the quality of the consistent connection.
This art of review and refinement is what prevents consistency from becoming drudgery. It keeps it dynamic, responsive, and ultimately more effective. It's the vital step that ensures your showing up is always moving you closer to your desired outcomes.
So, to recap this episode, we've talked about how consistency isn't about rigid adherence, but intelligent adaptation. Regular review involves honestly assessing what's working and what's not, and refinement is the process of making those necessary adjustments. This continuous cycle strengthens your consistency muscle and ensures your efforts are always moving you forward.
And it's this dedication to learning and evolving your approach that will truly help you show up and change everything. Which brings us to our final episode.
The grand finale. We'll be weaving all these powerful concepts together to help you build your consistent future.
Join us next time for episode 12, Weaving It All Together, Your Consistent Future. Welcome back to the Consistency Code. This is our 12th and final episode.
It's hard to believe we've reached the end of the series. We've covered so much, from the absolute basics of just showing up to the incredible compounding rewards of daily dedication.
Exactly, Lisa. And in this finale, we want to ensure everything we've learned resonates and empowers you to build a truly consistent and therefore transformative life. We've discussed the foundational principle, the absolute importance of showing up. It's the first step, the gateway to everything else. Without showing up, nothing else can happen.
And we often talked about how just the act of showing up, even imperfectly, builds momentum. It's that initial hurdle, isn't it?
Precisely. And building on that, we introduced the powerful never miss twice principle. Remember that? The idea that one slip up is just a stumble, but two in a row starts to build a negative habit. It's about acknowledging a missed day, but immediately recommitting to the next.
That principle really stuck with me. It's so encouraging. It stops us from falling into an all or nothing mindset and allows for flexibility.
Absolutely. And that flexibility naturally leads us to minimum viable effort, or MVE. We explored how breaking down big goals into the smallest, most manageable steps makes consistency achievable. It's about doing something, no matter how small, to keep the ball rolling. That's how you win with big wins through tiny, consistent efforts.
MVE is such a practical tool. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by a massive task, you just focus on that one tiny action. It makes consistency feel less like a chore and more like a simple habit.
And as you consistently apply MVE, you begin to shape your consistent identity. We delve into how your actions, repeatedly performed, define who you are. If you consistently put on your running shoes, you become a runner. If you consistently write, you become a writer. Your actions broadcast your identity to yourself and the world.
This was a fascinating concept. It's like your habits become the evidence of your self-belief.
Indeed. And we saw how this principle extends into every area of life. We discussed consistency in your professional life, how it builds trust, reliability, and expertise. Think about that colleague who always delivers on time, or the coworker who is consistently helpful. That's the power of professional consistency.
And we also highlighted how vital consistency is in nurturing relationships. Being a consistent friend, partner, or family member means being reliably present, supportive, and communicative. It's the bedrock of strong, lasting connections.
Then we moved into the crucial role of consistency for parents. The steady, predictable presence of a parent provides security and stability for a child, fostering trust and healthy development. The consistent routines, the reliable responses, these all build a secure foundation.
It really underscored that consistency isn't just about personal achievement, it's about our impact on others and the world around us.
Absolutely. And to make all this stick, we talked about building your consistency muscle. Just like any muscle, the ability to be consistent strengthens with practice. Every time you choose to act, you're flexing that muscle. Every successful day adds to its strength.
That's a great way to think about it. It's not something you're born with, it's something you develop.
Exactly. And as that muscle grows, you start to see the incredible compound rewards of daily dedication. We saw how small, consistent actions over time don't just add up, they multiply. It's like planting a seed. With consistent watering and care, it grows into a mighty tree. The payoff is exponential.
Those examples of compound growth were so powerful. It showed that persistent, small actions truly lead to extraordinary results in the long run.
Of course, the path to consistency isn't always smooth. We dedicated an episode to navigating obstacles and setbacks. Because they will happen. Life throws curveballs. The key is not to avoid them, but to learn how to recover gracefully, apply the never miss twice principle, and get back on track without derailing your journey.
That was a crucial reminder that perfection isn't the goal, but rather resilience.
And to ensure we keep evolving, we explore the art of review and refinement, regularly looking back at what's working, what's not, and how we can adjust our approach. Consistency isn't static, it's dynamic. It requires conscious effort and ongoing adjustment.
So, looking back, we've covered a comprehensive framework for building and maintaining consistency. We started with the simple act of showing up, then learned how to avoid consecutive misses. We made consistency achievable with MVE, which in turn shaped our identity. We saw its impact across professional and personal spheres, especially in relationships and parenting. We learned to build our consistency muscle, understood the exponential power of compound rewards, and prepared ourselves to face setbacks by reviewing and refining our approach.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. You've woven it all together beautifully. Every episode has built upon the last, creating a robust system. The consistency code, designed not just for short-term wins, but for sustainable, lifelong transformation. Think of consistency as the steady hand that guides your ship through calm seas and storms alike, always steering you towards your desired destination.
It's a powerful metaphor, Alex. And this final episode, weaving it all together, your consistent future, is really about embracing this entire journey as a continuous practice. It's not about reaching a finish line, but about embedding these principles so deeply that they become second nature.
Exactly. Your future is being built brick by consistent brick with every choice you make, starting now. The principles we've discussed, showing up, never missing twice, minimum viable effort, crafting your identity, being consistent in work and relationships, parentally, building that muscle, understanding, compounding, navigating hurdles, and refining your path are your tools. Use them. They are the code.
So, as we conclude our series, our final encouragement is to simply keep going. Keep showing up. Keep refining. Keep believing in the power of persistent, small actions. The cumulative effect of your dedication will undoubtedly lead to a future that is richer, more fulfilling, and more aligned with your deepest aspirations.
This has been an incredible journey sharing the consistency code with you. We hope you found immense value and are inspired to live a more consistent and therefore more remarkable life.
Thank you for joining us for all 12 episodes.
Thanks for listening to the series.